Good afternoon and welcome to Dr. Surajit Khanna's Returning Youth Show. We are live on WPAT 9:30 a.m. Out to 30 million homes every Friday at 3 p.m. So please join us and see us live. You can see our faces live at facebook.com/Khanna, the number four kids. That's Khanna, KHANNA, the number four kids. And Dr. Khanna is an attorney, a child safety advocate, a servant of the underserved, and champion of the nonprofit organization Voice of the Kids. He launched his post incarceration Juvenile Justice Reformation Act initiative. We call that in short returningyouth.com. Dr. Khanna saw that the Reformation Act did not really adequately care for ex offenders, and he decided he would address this with the returningyouth.com initiative. And that's why we're all here today, where we are returning underserved, post incarcerated young adults back to a productive life by providing housing, training, along with the required medical and psychological assistance needed to secure a job. Today, we have an exciting day where we have a lot of people on with us right now because they're all from Fresno Pacific University. Of course, we have with us Clem Yaboa, the chairman of Voice of the Kids, Edward Sargent, former reporter for the Washington Post, and our special guest from Fresno University, who was on Fox News last night, is now joining us, is Samantha Diaz, who petitioned her college, Fresno Pacific University, saying, "Hey, we don't want a virtual graduation. We want a real graduation." And of course, my co-host, I'm sorry, Angelica, my very important co-host, we're just so excited to have her. She's wonderful. Angelica Robinson. She is a producer in LA. She just got accepted to the Harvard Analytics program, and her bio is long as my arm. Very welcome, Angelica, and thank you. So I think, Samantha, thank you for being here. Uh, and your friends, Josie, Elaine, Marvin, Russell, Matthew, another Samantha. And we have Valley Anderson joining us because we have turned on, we're going to be talking about the initiative. We are doing 50 states in 60 days. So if anybody knows any other states you can help us, please. But we have turned on Montana, and Angelica is helping us with Los Angeles, which is California. We're going to be getting to that. But with that as the introduction, I would like to turn it over briefly to Dr. Surajit Khanna. Hello, Dr. Khanna.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, Gary. Good afternoon, everybody, those who have joined us here. It's a privilege to have in front of all the young adults. I feel like I'm also young today. And thank you very much, the audience, those who are listening to me. We are back again on Friday, 3 to 4. The audience has been listening to us since last year, June or July. So we try to bring varieties every week. And today's varieties, you really have multiple choice. You can choose anybody from this particular program. Today we have the full house. Bless you. I think maybe you can mute, Clem. Gary, you can control everybody's mute, right?
Yes.
Well, like I said, Gary said, we are excited to have our new co-host, Angelica, because so I'm sorry, somebody just came to my office.
It's never easy, right?
I know. But anyway, I was just saying that I'm very much glad that we have a wonderful co-host, Angelica Robinson here. I think the audience, I would like all of you to hear her because she has joined all the way from California. She's a celebrity. She's a young person, have the passion. And like this show is all about post-incarcerated young adults. How are we going to change the perception of the audience? That means the public on the post-incarcerated young adults, those who come out of jail. Because anybody who comes out of jail, whether they're young adults or adults, as soon as they come out, they have been called as ex-offenders. They have a tag called ex-offenders, or they have a tag called post-incarcerated individual. Why? Why do they have to have that tag? Well, they made a mistake in life. They went back. They suffered, or they sentenced, and they got rectified. Most of them, when they come out, they realize their mistake and they try to lead a better life. But we, as individuals outside of the jail, we don't allow them to lead a normal life. We don't allow them to come to the university. We don't allow them to get a decent job. We don't allow them to do a lot of things. Why? Well, that's why this initiative has been looked into, because our government or our constitution, we have an act which started in 1974. And that act says that any juvenile, when they go in the prison, they should be treated, they should be getting same type of education, same type of life skills, all this training, all the facilities as if they would be getting outside. The only thing different would be they will be punished inside because they have done some mistakes. That doesn't happen. It's been there since 1974. In 2018, they again reformed it. They said, oh my God, nobody's following. It took them from 1974 to 2018 to realize that nobody's following it. So in 2018, they revised it. Still, to this 2021, nobody's following it. The juveniles, when they come out of the prison, they become what, 20, 21, 25, 26, 30. That age, when they come out, they don't have any education background. They don't have a GED. They don't have a college degree. They don't have life skill. They don't know how to do laundry. They don't know how to cook their food. What are they going to do? They come out, they're lost. And I'm glad that today all the young people are listening to this in the show, and also the audience, those who are listening. We have between 67 to 77% recidivism. What does that mean? Whoever comes out, they stay out for 3 months, 6 months, 9 months maximum, and they go back again. Why? Because we who are outside, we don't accept them. That's why they go back. And the balance, let's take 67%. The balance of 100% is how much left? 20 or 33%. They commit suicide. There is one suicide, and statistically, okay, it could be more, one suicide every day in one state. 50 states, 50 suicides every day we are having. We need to stop this. Government has programs. They have different type of programs they have. They have halfway home, they have shelters, they have food stamps, all these things. But that's not what they're looking for. These young adults, when they come out, they're not looking for those handouts. They're looking for their own identity. They're looking for welcome to the community where they were before they made the mistake. And that's what this initiative is doing. That's what this initiative wants to do. And we already started one house in Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania. And as you all know, all the young adults, those who are here in the show, March, we just came out of March, the month of March, and they call March Madness. So my partner here, Clem and Gary, they told me last 2 weeks ago that March Madness, we got to do something. And I came up with the madness called 50 states, 60 days. We need to go to all 50 states in 60 days. Can we do it? Yes, we can do it if we want to do it. Nothing is impossible. Just like how Samantha is in this show, that we all need to go back for marching for the graduation. Can we do it? Yes, we can do it. And you know, Samantha, you reminded me, I'm just graduating from University of Southern California from my postdoctorate in law. And my graduation is on May 13th in Los Angeles. But they're debating whether they will be doing the marching physically, or they're going to do Zoom. They're still debating. So maybe I should join you guys and do this march as well. So anyway, that's in short that this is what we and returning youth, that's what we're doing. And I'm glad that we have a standing guest who has been supporting us, Mr. Edward Sargent, ex-reporter of Washington Post. He's been really very instrumental here. He sometimes think that I am mad, but you know what? I am mad for these people, because if we don't take care of them, then we are going to lose one person every day. And then we have Valley Anderson, which Gary just pointed out. She is actually, we have another show. Besides this radio show, we have another show called Inspire. What we do in that show, we inspire this post-incarcerated or any young adults like a motivational show. Because a lot of people cannot go and attain and cannot afford a motivational speaker like Tony Robbins or anybody. I'm not going to take everybody's name here, but people can't afford to go there. So we try to have this show 3 days a week. One day we have a workshop, so 4 days. And Valley, she hosts that show, but she's from Montana, the beautiful state of Montana. And she recently, with the help of some people, started our initiative in Montana last week. She's actively going. We have appointed a county manager in Montana. So Valley, you would like to tell anything about Montana, how you guys are doing there?
Yeah, so our appointed county manager is Carrie Anderson. And right now we just confirmed an area to start getting set up to welcome people. Hopefully it'll be up and ready in just a few short weeks. We're just working on the final cake store and decorating and stuff. But our plan is to have it warm and inviting for the post inmates to come and be in a safe, controlled environment instead of going back into the wrong crowds. And then hopefully they start inviting other people and family to come with them so that we just get more people in to communicate with about this initiative.
And
Thank you very much, Valley.
And we see the picture there of the new county manager. What's her name?
Carrie Anderson.
Thank you. Thank you.
How is outreach going, Valley?
The outreach, like the website, or like what are you meaning? Sorry.
In terms of how you guys are getting the word out, like how are you reaching the people? What tools are you utilizing?
Yeah, so we're just talking with various like groups, Rotary clubs, whatever we can find. We've been to multiple churches, like police stations, the Chamber of Commerce, just going pretty much everywhere we can talk to people, leaving brochures or business cards. That's just like we're focusing right now on Ravalli County as well as Missoula County. So yeah, we're just between the two, we're going in like just a whole bunch of different groups.
Are you familiar with any of the, you mentioned some of the different Chamber of Commerce and county facilities that you guys are going to. Are you familiar with any of the crime data or retention rates in terms of revolving crime in that area, in those areas?
Not really like familiar with it. I just know like 7,400 Montana residents are like in like in jail right now or prisons, just wherever. And oh, there you go. And 17,000 are within the criminal justice system.
What about racial breakdown?
I'm not too familiar with that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so we can see that when you look at this, the number on the right, 9,000 people are on probation. I mean, 9,000. They're post-incarcerated, okay? So those are potential people that we could reach. And if you look at the wording below, Angelica, you can see that it's actually larger than what's shown here. So they're talking about 18,000 people are booked in local jails in Montana. 18,000.
I'm very curious to know how many of like out of this number, this is like the general generalization of just jails population in general. I'm wondering how many of them specifically would deal with juvenile rates. I'm wondering about our youth and those that are in juvenile detention centers, and how different or similar those statistics are.
I can definitely do the research on that and provide it to you. No worries. I was thrown on this kind of last minute, so I didn't really have time to gather a whole bunch.
You're doing great, Valerie. You're doing great. We appreciate it. I do have to say that we have found, Angelica, that when the people that are coming out of incarceration or on probation or contacting us, many of them have aged out, so they're not juveniles now. We just had a case 2 weeks ago, and it was in Pennsylvania. This poor gentleman was arrested when he was 15. He was in jail for 68 years, was it, Dr. Khanna? I think it was 68 years.
Yes.
And talk about aging out, the poor man. So that was a pretty exciting, not exciting, it was a pretty eye-opening issue right there. So it's interesting to see that. Angelica, I'd like to talk about you, if you don't mind, briefly. Thank you so much we have a press release that we sent. Really talks about two things. Thank you for being a volunteer county manager in Los Angeles. We're going to get some data next week. We'll present the data for Los Angeles. And we also thank you for being our co-host on Reach Out here. And for those of you who are interested, you can tell a little bit. I couldn't fit it all in. I kept on going to 2 pages, but I fit as much as I could in here. And in addition to your admission into the Harvard Business Analytics program, which is very exciting. So tell us a little bit about that, if you don't mind, Angelica.
Nothing much to tell right now, other than I've been accepted. It's a program that's all about data analytics, insights. We use those types of metrics every single day. I'm sure all of us are either watching this, if you're watching this show right now, you're probably doing it on social media, on Facebook or YouTube or something like that. And so that program specifically highlights the study of those types of metrics, data analytics metrics, and that statistical information on how we gather that information right now, and how we can utilize it to have further and future projections for business analytics and business well-being. So
thank you very much, Angelica, for that. I know we spoke a little bit, this week. How do you feel, or what message would you like to give? We have all these young adults here with us today, and also the audience listening to us, viewing through social medias. what is your opinion about this post-incarcerated young adults, those who are coming out of the jail, they're not having any hope? I've been telling recently, hopeless. Instead of homeless, they're hopeless. So what is
I
your
think the idea of
opinion?
hopelessness is one that is widespread. You know what I mean? There's a lot of hopelessness since just because of what's going on in the world in general, right? In 2020 and what we've all experienced. We've all experienced the loss of a loved one or family member or friend. We have all experienced financial hardships or have seen someone who has been through that. And so on top of all of those things, for those people specifically dealing with individuals, family members, friends that are post-incarcerated and now are trying to reestablish themselves within society, it's even more of a struggle to simply exist and live just as a human being within America's world and how America is set up right now. And so and if you multiply that with being Black or Latinx, a person of color in general, we've got the George Floyd trial that's going on right now. We've got folks trying to stop Asian hate right now. So, to be a person of color on top of being a post-incarcerated person, on top of dealing with just basic things that all of us within the world are dealing with, it's very easy to be hopeless. It's very easy.
I agree with you. May I jump in?
Of course,
Yeah.
please.
Angelica, first of all, Dr. Khanna, thanks. Congratulations for growing your organization. You have some great people on there. All you young people in California, I wish you all the best. You're standing up, you're making your voices heard, and that's so important. Angelica, you've stepped right in and you're really helping Gary steer the ship. Now I can sit back for a little while and just kind of watch everything flow. And that's a good thing. Now, number one, I want you to know in Washington, D.C., we did have a tragic incident today. I didn't want to bring it up, but I want you all to know what's going on here in Washington, D.C. When you get off this show, you're going to hear about it. We had another attack at the Capitol.
Wow.
We have one officer dead, believe it or not, and the suspect was shot dead as well, believe it or not. Angelica, you're so right. There are troubles everywhere. I just want to wrap up by saying hope. Hope is so powerful. If you can hold on to hope in the midst of all this, that's success right there. And that's something we all must face. Some of it is sometimes when you have young people who are in college or young people who are coming up and aspiring, it may be a little easier for you to hope. But from what you're saying, Angelica, it's not easy for anybody now. But it's so important to spread that hope, Dr. Khanna. And as you emphasize, it's not just about words and things of this nature, but it comes down to love. We just have to love those who are available to share the love with the idea that it can expand. And I think a lot of people are just hurting. You look at the shootings that are going on. Nobody goes and shoots people because they're happy. I don't think you go in and shoot someone because, hey, how you doing today? No, there's a lot of hurt, a lot of people who need love. So tell me how we're going to do that, Angelica, Dr. Khanna, Gary, young people.
Well, yeah, we're talking about the African American. I definitely want to introduce Clem Yaboa. I think this is right up his alley. I don't want to exclude him. So I'd like, you and Angelica and Clem to continue this conversation. And eventually I'm going to ask all the students a similar question, but go ahead, Clem. Thank you.
Well, let's not forget that today is Good Friday.
Thank you.
And on Good Friday, when Jesus went up on the cross, and when he said it is finished, when he said that he has paid for all our sins. He said that the assignment the Father gave him is completed. Now, so what every one of us is hopeful for is that the manifestation of that completion should appear in our lifetimes. Unfortunately, what has been happening is that, you know, we are still struggling. We are still struggling to see it is finished in our lives. And as Black people, as people of color, as, you know, Asians, Americans, whatever the color differential is, we are still going through struggles. This shouldn't be our situation. We shouldn't be going to jail. When Jesus came, he came to set the captives free. But we are still mentally incarcerated. We are still having our minority people going back into the jail systems. To me, this is a disaster. We need to wake up. We need to turn it around. We need to do something. And especially when people use religion and use it to support certain positions, and that those positions tend to provide racist positions. To me, I think it is unacceptable. Today, we haven't said anything about why the slave Bible was even distributed. Okay, a very basic racist religious standing. And on a day like this, we need to condemn that particular position that the slave masters took. We need to condemn that. There's so much harm that has been done and has always been brushed under the rug, and we are still doing that. When the 1974 Act was enacted, it has been reauthorized several times. Okay, and most recent is the 2018, and we are still in this incarceration process. We're still incarcerated. That's a problem.
I agree with you, Clem, and I hear what you're saying. And I think that it's really important to talk about the, you know, that spiritual awakening and mental incarceration, spiritual incarceration, as well as in going hand in hand with the physical. But one of the things that we all can do, all of us, those of us who are not in that space, those of us that do have the mental or spiritual strength and bandwidth to be an ally and to be a support and to be a help to those who do need that help and that support. And so all of us, each and every one of us on this call are able in some space, because that's why we're here sharing space and time together right now, to be able to talk to individuals that do need that spiritual, mental help and breaking of those chains. And so I want to turn around right now to the students, and I want to speak to the students about how you guys are being a support or an ally to those of any friends or family members that you guys have in your personal lives that have experienced some type of hardship or discrimination, and how you have been an ally and how you have been able to stand up for them.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. If you could all unmute yourself, I just want to hear, does anybody know anybody who's been arrested or had trouble with the police or experienced something along those lines? I'd love to hear your perspective before we get to the second part of the show to talk what Samantha's done. I just want to hear from the young people here from Fresno University. What is it again?
Fresno Pacific University.
Yes. How about yourself, Samantha? You know anybody that's been arrested, been incarcerated, had difficulty with police, or been robbed, anything along those lines?
You've been a support or an ally.
Thank you.
Oh, well, I personally don't know anybody that has faced that. At least in my life, I haven't met anybody. I think it's just important to keep an open perspective, that we're all the same regardless of race. That goes with any race, you know, African American, Caucasian, Asian, we're all equal. And I think it's important to just, just as the Bible says, to treat others, you know, kindly the way that we want to be treated, and to put others before us, because we are servants of God and we are to serve others.
Wonderful. Anybody else have a comment?
Very good statement, Samantha, you made, servant of God. I really liked it. So that's good.
Thank you, Dr. Khanna. Any other young people there from the Fresno have an opinion
Please
about?
jump in. Please jump in. Tell
Please
us
jump
your
in.
experience.
Okay, I'm gonna go. Russell, you look like you want to say something. Go ahead. And he says, no, I don't. Anybody? Go ahead.
Yeah, I
Russell.
don't personally have like an experience with people who have been incarcerated. So,
Okay.
but
Right, but you can speak to how you guys are, any one of you guys are able to speak on how you are able to support someone who has gone through any type of discrimination. It doesn't have to necessarily be incarceration, but in discrimination, you can speak to that because we all have seen microaggressions and macroaggressions within our lives. I mean, you guys are in college, so you have been exposed to some things. I would love to hear how you guys are actively participating or being a support to any of your friends.
Josie, it's your turn.
I think one of the main things I do is listen. I mean, you have to listen to what they're saying and their sides of things, and listening with an open mind to like really understand what they're saying, and I mean, and being able to communicate with them like that you need somebody to explain something, like, oh, I mean, I have had people say to me before, like, you made a comment about something and you didn't do it intentionally. And I sit there and I go, please tell me why what I said upset you. And I listen and I make sure that I never do something like that again, whether I did it intentionally or not. So I think the most important thing is to listen and to understand.
Marvin.
Yeah, I would agree. I think it's important just to be there for someone to talk to. And just keeping open mind because we all make mistakes and we're not perfect. So just being there for someone in need. I think that's one of the best ways that you can help someone.
Thank you.
Excellent.
Anybody else? I feel like a teacher here. I'm calling on people. You're not raising your hand, so I'm calling on you. Matthew, go ahead.
I think what goes back to what Samantha said is looking at people equally. The image of God, Imago Dei, everybody's made in the image of God. And we have to look at people not based on skin color, race, ethnic backgrounds, religion, but based on the character. I think we got to get away from identity politics and the way that our culture is. And our culture is the way it is because God is not in the culture. It's been taken out of everything. And we see the way our culture has been affected, and it's affecting our youth. We are one of the most luckiest generations to live in a country that has the freedoms and the liberties that it does have. And it grants. America has made its mistakes, but it is not a mistake. And I think we have to be able to promote freedom and liberty and opportunity in this country once again and get away from this race-based identity politics because it only further divides us. So we have to look at people equally and based on their character. That's just some of my thoughts.
Wow.
Matthew, that's really powerful what you said, Matthew. I think it's also important though to be accepting that, we are not the same. We don't look the same, but we are able to all be anything that we want here in America. That's the dream, is to be able to live the American dream, to be able to be anything and everything that we can and should be able to be, right? However, we all do come from different backgrounds, and we do all look differently, and we do all have different experiences, and that is okay. It's about being accepting and tolerant of those things and embracing all of those different parts of ourselves and letting that uplift and be a beautiful palette across our board, as opposed to ignoring the fact that I'm woman and Black. Don't ignore the fact that that those things are there. Embrace those things about me and uplift that. And I embrace and uplift all the things about you. So it's not about not seeing color, but just understanding that, we're different and that's okay. And then uplifting and accepting and moving forward.
Angelica, I have to say, I'm very impressed with these young people and what they're saying. I just don't want to leave anybody out. So Elaine, I see you raising your hand. Go ahead, Elaine.
I do have a story, actually. I'm a musician. I play flute in college. And a few years ago, we were able to take a group to the juvenile hall that is not too far from Fresno Pacific. And we played a concert for them. And it was a very inspiring and almost and kind of heartbreaking experience for us to see young people who have had a really hard path in life, and seeing them listen to the music and seeing them get excited, and some of them share experiences that, oh, I played music when I was in school, and seeing the light in their eyes and getting really excited. It was an experience I'm very thankful for, and if nothing else, it opens my eyes to remember to pray for people, because if I can do nothing else, I can pray for them.
Thank you, Elaine. Now you understand the inspiration which you got, those kids, when they come out, they don't get those inspiration anymore. And this is why we want, means without you all, we cannot succeed with this movement. I think it was, I think it's Eddie or Gary, somebody said this is a movement. Okay, this returning youth initiative, this movement cannot move without all of us. So I'm glad that you shared that story, and I have seen many like this in different parts of the juvenile correction centers, and heartbreaks, absolutely. I would like to welcome our leader for Latinx initiative, who concentrates only on the Latinx group, Rafael Alvarez. Thank you very much for joining us back again. I think, Gary, you need to focus now the second part of the program with Samantha.
Absolutely. Thank you. Hello, Rafael. Before I do that, Samantha, second Samantha, I don't want to leave you out. We called on everybody but you. So raise your hand, unmute yourself.
The other Samantha, we did not get anything from Samantha and
I don't want to leave anybody out. Go ahead, Samantha. And then
I appreciate the recognition. I do have some friends that do have been in the system at one point. And I think the most important thing is allowing yourself to be understanding with others, and understanding that they may not have the same viewpoint as you, and allowing God to work through you, having kindness and showing compassion and being there for someone when they need you. A phone call, a text message, those small things mean a lot when you're going through something that somebody else may not understand, and just being compassionate to those who have what they feel like no one else is there for them. And I think that's the most important thing as far as I've experienced myself.
Absolutely. This is excellent. That's why we are here, Samantha. And that's why this movement, and I'm going to repeat myself to the audience, those who are listening to us, that hopeless is not the solution. Please give everybody the hope. Please listen to them, give them a chance, rectify ourselves the way we need to conduct ourselves. I think we have Marvin. You want to say something?
No, I think Russell.
No, it's Russell. Russell.
Oh, Russell.
Russell,
yes.
and then Samantha wants to say something. Then we're going to move on. So let's go ahead, Russell.
I feel like in these times of uncertainty and fear that it has seemingly taken over our country, I feel like we have to remain steadfast and unfazed amidst all these unprecedented challenges. I feel like we need to redirect and recalibrate our ways in viewing other people, that we are all equal and that we need to accept and help each other rather than tearing each other up. If we see or know, people going through hardships, we need to be there and support them. Especially the emergence of the Asian hate crime in our society. It is very concerning. And I can only empathize with those who are victims of these inhumane actions. Sometimes as an Asian American, you don't know how I fear for my life in these times of uncertainty and fear. I fear for the lives of my family, friends, and relatives. Sometimes when going out, I have to cover my Asianness in fear of being targeted by this hate crime. So I mean, I shouldn't have to hide it because, like, this is who I am, and will always be my identity. So.
Thank you, Russell. Samantha, you got a quick something to say, and then I need to jump to the next part of the presentation. We're running out of time.
Yes, and I think is super important to keep in mind is while we do need to understand history in the past, I think it's important to not bask in the past and what happened. It's more important to look to the future and how we can change the future and make it more of an environment where we're accepting of each other rather than just looking at the past and making that be the future as well. It's about making a change.
Well, Edward, Dr. Connor, Clem, Raphael, Angelica, I am impressed with these young people. Very impressed. I'm so happy you joined us. I wish we had more time. We're going to move on to the next segment. After we recognize Raphael, I see he's swimming. He was an Olympic swimmer, right, Raphael? Yeah, I can see your picture there. Very impressed.
That's right, yeah. Yes, in college, I'm a professional swimmer. I mean, I still have it. Getting older, but I still have it.
I got to tell you a quick story about Raphael. I'm sitting at home watching TV just last night, and I got a message for him saying, help. I said, okay, yeah, he probably needs help with something on the computer or whatever. And then 2 seconds later, I got another message, help. Now, when someone tells you help, two right in a row, you think, this has got to be urgent. So I jumped out of my chair and I called him on the phone thinking, what? I feel honored that he's calling me out of all his friends. And he says, no, it's just a voice text. I'm saying hello. It's translating as help.
Before you jump on, Gary, I know we're running out of time, but I'll have Raphael to address all the young adults, those who are on the show today, and also to the listeners. How do you see the Latinx group and your business skills, which you are trying to bring into this post-incarceration Juvenile Justice Reformation Act initiative? What is your feeling, and how do you think that we can change these young adults from hopeless to give a lot of hope? What do you think?
Well, I just want to really apply all 36 plus years of experience in business. I came from a very tough neighborhood. I grew up in Washington Heights in New York City, Northern Manhattan. And most of my friends that I grew up with, they either end up dead or they end up in jail. So I know what it is to grow up in a tough neighborhood and really seeing a lot of your friends go to jail and some of them spend the rest of their life there. So it created really a very strong sentiment. I just happened to take a different route thanks to my parents. They really put a lot of energy, effort in, my family, my daughter, my sisters to get a great education. I went to college, got a great education. I started very young, investing, try different businesses. But I can tell you that I built a multi-million-dollar business in the franchising industry. I established the first Latino-owned franchise in the tax preparation, bookkeeping, and payroll back in 2007. And I can tell you, people, when they see what I built, I mean, I did that with $200, 2 computers and a fax machine, and a lot of work, a lot of effort. So what I'm trying to do now is really capitalizing on the momentum, on the movement that Dr. Khanna and all of us, I guess, are building, and really utilize all my expertise in the franchising industry. Franchising industry is something very unique. I don't know how much you guys know about franchising, but I'm sure that if I ask all of you, all you're gonna remember, I know, oh yeah, I know McDonald's, I know Dunkin' Donuts, Kentucky Fried Chicken, et cetera, right? That's not what I am all about, and that's not the way I approach franchising. Franchising is something that I would say it has been either denied for minority people in a way. Minority do not have access to franchising. I can tell you as a Latino person, Latinx, franchising was not part of our language. I remember my dad said all the time, my son, go to college, get a college degree, and you will be able to be comfortable, have a comfortable life. He never told me, by the way, there is something called franchising that if you invest money there, you can really create a lot of abundance and really do very well. Franchising is not part of the Latino, the African American, the Asians, the minority language is not. So it is part of my responsibility now collectively with the initiative team to be able to provide my knowledge, what we know about franchising to
Thank
the
you.
incarcerated youth. That's
Thank
really
you very
important.
much, Rafael. We appreciate it. We're very happy to have you on the team. Clem is happy on the team. Angelica, our team is getting bigger. We're going to be in 60 states in 50 days. Was it
No.
50 states in 40 days?
States in 60
30
days.
states. What is it? 45? What? I'm just joking.
50,
Listen,
60.
we're here with Samantha Diaz and her friends, and we've been having fun with them, but that's not the reason that they joined. They joined because Samantha did something interesting. She says, I don't want a Zoom graduation. I want a real graduation. I don't want to sit in my pajamas, like she said on Fox News. And she told me she's sorry she said that, but I thought it was great. I don't want to sit in my pajamas, not wear my hat. I want to have a real graduation. So I am going to play a video. She was on Fox News. It's a 3-minute video. Please join me and watch this.
With restaurants and movie theaters now opening up, students are wondering why their graduation ceremonies are still being canceled. Fox 26 reporter Kimberly Colliner shows us why a university in the Valley made the decision to go virtual and how students there are hoping to change their minds.
Fresno Pacific University says capacity is the big issue with having an in-person graduation. The gym, for example, was outgrown 10 years ago.
The gym can only hold 500 to 600 people. What's known as the Green, the big school lawn, can only hold 1,000 to 1,200 people. The school says with a graduating class of 875 students, all of their loved ones on top of staff and speakers, it needs space for 6,000 to 7,000 people. In years past, the school has used Selland Arena, but we're well aware last year and this year have been different.
We can't go indoors anywhere. We don't have the room outside, and we've had people measuring the track and walking the soccer field.
The school says it tried just about everything it could think of before having to think up a way to deliver this message.
We're very sorry to have to say this, and we do not say it lightly in any way, shape, or form.
Our spring 2021 commencement ceremony honoring all our graduates will take place virtually. A message senior Samantha Diaz says she was very sad to read. She says finishing her college experience virtually doesn't seem right.
It just does not compare at all to an in-person graduation. To be honest, when they play the video on May 8th for a graduation, I'll probably just be sitting on the couch in my pajamas because I'm not going to be wearing my cap and gown, just at home chilling. So it's a whole different experience that we should not be dealing with.
So she took action. She started a petition in hopes of changing her school's mind, and it's blowing up.
At the beginning, I started off with the goal as 100, and then once I met that, it changed to 200, and then 500, and now it's 1,000. Every signature we receive, they'll also be notified, and so I'm hoping by the constant emails, because they receive the emails, by the constant emails they receive, they'll be just more aware of how much their students want the graduation.
Faculty like Wayne Steffen, who has worked at Fresno Pacific since 1996, says it breaks his heart it's come to this, and he hopes students do not in any way feel less appreciated.
The students' achievements mean everything to us because this is why the school exists and why the school was begun in the first place.
The school says it'll try to make the ceremony special by delivering boxes to each student with a printed program, honor cards, alumni license plate holders, among other goodies.
For now, the graduation ceremony is scheduled for May 8th. It will be virtual, but the students will have that physical box with them. In Southeast Fresno, Kimberly Colliner, Fox 26 News.
So, Samantha, tell us how it's going. You had 1,000 people yesterday. Where are you at today? And where can they go to sign the petition?
So the goal right now is to reach 1,000. Last I checked, we're close to 750, I believe. And so you can go to change.org/FPU graduation to help us, because every signature counts, and we appreciate all the help and support that we've been receiving from everyone. And
what happens when you reach 1,000?
So with every signature that we get, Fresno Pacific, they receive an email, about the signature. And then once we reach a new milestone, they'll also be notified with an email about the milestone that we've reached for the petition. So it just gets their attention more and more.
Oh, okay. So, but how confident are you that they are going to change this virtual to physical?
To be honest, it's kind of hard to see if it'll actually happen. They sent out the email February 9th with their decision to have it online. And then March 26th, they sent a follow-up email with the same thing, that it's going to be online. I think their main idea is that we don't have the room for the graduation. We have about 875 students who are graduating, and we have a gym, but that fits around 500 to 600 people, as was said in the video, and the gym between 1,000 to 1,200. And so they're saying that for the graduation, we need about room for 6,000 to 7,000 people. And so I think the best thing that we could do is we could break it up into groups. We could have the traditional undergraduate students, the degree completion students, and the graduate students, and host 3 separate graduations, because that would allow for the space. You can do that safely. You can do it outside at what we call the green.
As a matter of fact, you had a professor supporting you. I think that was your idea, and he or she is supporting that idea. Is that correct, Samantha?
Yeah, so they spoke up and said that before, that's what Fresno Pacific used to do, is to have different groups for the graduation. It's not a new idea to Fresno Pacific. It's something that they already used to do. So I'm not sure why that's not really being taken into consideration at this time.
A funding issue.
Well,
to have 3 separate things, to have 3 separate graduations or 4 separate graduations would be a budgetary situation. And so if you guys are able to raise the funds to then provide that, finding out what that balance is, that balance difference is, then it's something that could be plausible. But it would definitely be a funding issue, a budgetary issue.
Any comments from the students?
With a graduation that's already an expense that you take into consideration, no student starts university thinking, am I going to have a graduation? It's just an automatic assumption, because that's what's always happened. And previously they've done it at the Selland Arena, which would be much more costly than having it in their own property outside. So I'm not too sure about that. And also just with funding from the government for COVID, I'm sure there's a way to make this possible.
Dr. Khanna, you had something.
No, yeah, I mean, so I was going to add what Samantha said. Like I said about University of Southern California, they have been doing from May 13th to May 24th, different days, different graduations. So they're physically doing it. They have the option of virtual. That means virtual means they'll be telecasting. But every, I think they're graduating 12,000 or 13,000 people this year. But again, like segments, they're doing it. So you are right. When they could do it, and like even Angelica said that it could be a budget issue, but those things can be worked out, because every university do have endowment. Every university has a lot of things. If they want, they can do it. But again, safety. Also, they're concerned about safety, but I think I admire your spirit. It's not about losing or winning this campaign, what you guys are doing. It's more about the voice coming out. That should be considered. And the audience, those who are listening, please go to change.org, right? Is that change.org?
Yes, /FPU graduation. And yeah. With this petition, so my desire is to be a voice in the silence. The voices of the students need to be heard, and I'm simply a representation of those voices. Also, we have a nearby university, Fresno State, and their campus, their graduating class is a whole lot bigger than ours, and they decided they're going to be having an in-person graduation, and they're doing that by breaking it up into different groups.
Yep. So why can't you do it? It will be done. Let's move for it.
Can I help?
Yes. How can we help? Let us know. We'll help you.
Well, I can easily allocate it, at least start with $1,000 for a Google marketing campaign, I guess, targeting people from the city of Fresno, I guess, or the high school neighborhood area, so they can see this petition, promoting the petition, so they'll be able to sign it. So you could reach 30,000 people as soon as possible. I send a strong message within that high school community. Will that help?
Yeah, thank you so much. That would mean a lot to us. We appreciate it.
I mean, I don't know if you know what I'm talking about in terms of Google. I mean, Gary, can you explain it better? Google campaign, targeting social media.
Google Ads is you
Google
put an ad on Google, you target certain people, you can target locations. We would just need you guys.
Actually, we should engage immediately Sharon Miller, the Google gal.
Yes.
This right after this, maybe Samantha should be introduced to Google gal. Samantha, we have a wonderful person in our. She didn't join right now. She's Google gal. She's named as Google gal. That's what she does. Google ad. She's the only two companies in United States, those who concentrate on female business ads. So we'll connect you with her so that what Raphael just said, and we definitely thank you very much, Raphael, bringing that up. And this is what we need from
1 minute,
young adults.
1 minute, 1 minute, and everybody stay on even after the 1 minute's over. I'm sorry to cut you off, Dr. Khanna. Thank you. Samantha will get you and Raphael and Dr. Khanna together. Thank you. Listen, everybody's listening on the air. Go to that website we told you, which is change.org, Fresno Pacific University. Go there and sign the petition. Get us to 1,000. We should be getting there quickly. I just want to say it was a very busy day. I'm sorry we didn't get to everybody. I'm sure some of you had more to say, but it always goes much quicker than we hope. But we're on every Friday, so please join us. And I want every young person to know that we also have 2 other radio shows, not digital. One Valley Anderson handles, and we definitely want you to join. So you can reach out to me at Gary@returningyouth.com, Gary@returningyouth.com. So I want to say thank you to everybody. We appreciate it. Stay on with us because we're now off the air of the
and
radio.
those of you who are still listening, please be sure to donate to Khanna for Kids. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Yes, we're only on digitally now. We're off the radio, so please, thank you, Angelica. We always forget to ask for the most important thing, right, Dr. Khanna, right, Clem, right, Raphael? Please donate. Go to returningyouth.com and donate. There's a donate button, returningyouth.com, and donate. Give $1, something, so that we can get post-incarcerated youth back into a useful life. And
let's get back to the conversation which Raphael and Samantha were having.
Yes.
So in regards to increase the campaign to get more audience, sign up the petition, and so that we can shake the management so that we can convince them, hey, these kids, they want physical graduation. Anything you want us to do, let us do it. Yes, Raphael.
I just want to say that the way she's doing it, you're doing an awesome job, Samantha. I mean, things are growing organically for what I see, but I'm sure that if we kind of spike it up a little, push it a little, I'm sure that you can hit those numbers. So when is the deadline? By when you're planning to reach this? And then we need to look at the mechanics. I mean, if we have somebody that can do this in Google, then I'm just donating $1,000 for that Google ad campaign.
Thank you so much.
Samantha, what's your plan to keep people safe and to keep their family members safe? Do you guys have a plan? If you guys are separating out the different graduations, what is the plan to keep people safe?
So like I said, the nearby university, they're doing the in-person one and they're much larger. So I don't see how with Fresno Pacific being a much smaller university, why we have to have the issue of that. And the vaccinations that is becoming widely available. So all of the people who want to receive the COVID vaccination, they're gonna have it by then. And from what I've seen is if you have the vaccination and you're exposed to COVID, you don't have symptoms, you don't need to get tested, you're not going to get the disease. And so I'm struggling to see the concern there. And those who don't receive the vaccination, then that's their choice, and they're obviously not going to stay home from a graduation because of COVID.
What is do you guys not have a COVID protocol in place? Is that what you're saying? Is that there isn't one in place?
I'm sorry, what was your question?
Are you saying that there's not a COVID protocol in place? Like, I work on productions, right? We have to, because of the unions, we have to keep people safe. People have to get tested, even if they have a vaccination, right? Because we all want to be able to gather, and there's like 50, 60, 70 people on set all together at once, and we're all in close proximities. So there's zonings, there's different types of protocols in place to keep people completely safe. So my question to you is, ignoring the other university and what they're doing, what is Fresno going to do, or what is your plan for the students and the faculty to keep people safe? Do you have a plan?
So that goes back to just the vaccines. If you believe and you have it, then that works for you. There's also the social distancing. You can wear your face mask, and we're going to be outside in an open area. That's for 1,000 to 1,200 people. And so if we break that up, I'm sure it could happen.
Well, I just want to add this, that there's one thing that's going on here, and that is, I being a chairman of the board of Voice of the Kids, Inc., I'm very appreciative that they are making their voices heard.
Yes, thank you.
And that's the key. They're making their voices heard. Now, as to the planning for such an event and all those things, the protocols I believe that the two sides should negotiate that. The kids have they have their need to be met. The university has its need to be met. And along that way, they will have to negotiate a protocol for COVID. They'll have to negotiate a protocol for whether they do it on by departments on different dates or whatever it is that they do. I think it's all within the realm of negotiation. So that the kids don't have a plan at this time, it shouldn't be an issue. It shouldn't stop the movement from going forward.
Very good point, Clem. I think you bringing this voice of the students. This is why
Good.
this whole was that.
Very good. I love it. The voice of the students, Dr. Khanna.
Yeah, that's very important. It means, the kids. How do you define kids? What age starts? Means I could be called a kid. Gary, you could be called a kid too. Okay, so what is the definition of kid? The definition of kid is the voice of students, voice of post-incarcerated individuals, voice of everybody. Okay, I think it was Matthew who brought it up. The Constitution, the way he said, it was more like it reminded me about Constitution. That's one of my dissertation in my postdoctorate program was Constitution, and I heard that as if my professor is talking to me right now, so, and all these things can only be done when voice is heard. I'm sure your faculties, your deans, your management of the Fresno Pacific University is listening and will be listening. And definitely, like Clem said, they should come to a point where they should negotiate. They should come. And by saying this, I did reach out to Sharon Miller. She's in church right now because that's when the Good Friday thing starts in Catholic Church at 3 p.m. But that's when things start anyway. And so she said she's going to get in touch with me after her done. Then I will get in touch with Gary for Samantha. I think Samantha, we are in support with you. We will be supporting you because what you are doing, I'm sure every lot of other students, they're also doing that. And I don't know how much they're doing because my son, who is graduating this year from UPenn, and he's having virtual as well on May 24th. So I don't know what kind of campaign. Maybe if he's looking at this today, then he might get inspired. Or with all the students from Philadelphia, UPenn, Drexel, University of Science, the entire university in Pennsylvania are not doing physical. They're doing virtual graduation, including Temple University. So maybe everybody will change. And I like the, hopefully after you are successful, you can join our movement and you can give the post-incarcerated students, or we would like to see post-incarcerated individuals to be students in every universities, have a dream to be fulfilled. So
yeah, and I have this point to make. I have another engagement and have this point to make. Samantha, I think it is also a good point for you to investigate and come to a meaningful position on COVID. It is. I don't think it is fair that your position of, well, if the person takes the vaccine, it is their choice, no. I think that it should be a position of what is a meaningful protocol that supports the science in the COVID and everything else. What is it that we are, as the student voice, are going to willing to present? And the idea that the young ones don't get infected and all those things, whatever you read on social media is not what you should let drive your request for in-person. You have to have some information about what is good protocol and what is not good. You shouldn't go into a meeting, in the position that if they take it, then they can come. If they don't take it, then they can come. No, I don't think that's clear enough for me.
Clem, thank you. And I want to say that I forgot to mention, I'm good friends with Samantha's grandfather. That's how I got in touch with her. And I have been trying to gently help her, and she's very organized. I'm very impressed. And please, other students, group text, help her.
Samantha has something to say. Can you say, Samantha?
I'm sorry?
Go ahead, Samantha.
You have something to say?
Yeah, I was going to say something else, but first I'd like to touch base on the comment. So my comment to the vaccination was what I saw according to the CDC guidelines is if you have the vaccine, you're fully vaccinated and you come in contact with someone with COVID, but you don't have any symptoms, then you don't need to get tested. That is where I received that information. It wasn't just something I saw a friend post on social media. I wasn't trying to make up my own little thing here. I think for the graduation, for the in-person graduation, it's also very important because we can all say that this past year has been difficult for all of us in one way or another. And it has been a struggle to maintain motivation. I've spoken to a lot of different students and I feel the same way. And so in my belief, as my fellow graduates also agree, it's a time to experience hope and to see the light at the end of the tunnel.
Well, I want to say thank you, Matt. You just shared something. Matt, talk about this you just shared, because I'm not sure I understand what this is, Matthew.
This is the Fresno State guidelines that they're going to be following.
New at midday, as Fresno County's COVID conditions see improvement, Fresno State hopes to honor.
So they're doing it live.
I just shared the article because I know it was referenced in discussing that nobody will be walking, but it still will be in person. And we actually still had to pay a graduation fee this year. So it's not like there's no funds coming in. We had to pay a $65 graduation fee. There's still things that went into the endowment. Tuition went up a couple grand this year. There's still money there. I think that we can still put this on, and of course, saving costs on Selland Arena where we usually do. So, and the production, the cost, I think it's something that we can manage. That it have to take some planning and working with administration to get an actual game plan going forward, and following, of course, our CDC guidelines and what Fresno State is doing, because they're just 15, 20 minutes away. So I just wanted to share that little piece because it was mentioned.
Elaine had another comment to make over FP.
Yeah, I I've been on campus quite a bit at Fresno Pacific during COVID time, so I was going to explain some of their policies for being on campus. We are a private university, so everyone who comes on, it's all gated. Everyone who comes on campus takes a COVID screening quiz, and you have to wear a mask at all times while on campus. So the locations that have been discussed for having a graduation are all on the main campus. It's all gated. There's already the screening and mask protocols on campus, and past that, it would be up to the university. But those are the ones that are already in place, masks and social distancing, including outdoors while on campus.
Well, I just want to say, I know we went over, even though we're digitally broadcasting, we went over our time. Thank you, Samantha, Josie, Elaine, Marvin, Russell, the other Samantha, Matthew. I don't know if somebody else left. Of course, Raphael and Angelica, we thank you. This is Dr. Khanna's show with On Every Friday. Please contact me. I sent your email if you'd like to join some of our other shows where Valley has one. Dr. Khanna has one at 9 o'clock every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And we could even have you back on Friday. So I think Raphael is going to get in touch with me. We'll get in touch with you, Raphael. I'm sorry, Samantha. We'll figure this thing out. Dr. Khanna, thank you so much. Basically,
thank you very much. Thank you very much, Samantha. And I'm, the whole initiative is behind you. We'll definitely support you. And also you all, everybody has Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Please forward this link to everybody, today's show. In that way, we'll be having more followers. That will also help you to get more attraction too. So, and wish you all the best. I will get in touch with Sharon. I already got in touch with Sharon Miller, and we'll be in touch. Thank you again. Thank you, Angelica. You did a wonderful job hosting today.
Thank you so much for having us. Really appreciate it.
No, thank you. Thank you, everyone. And thank you, Raphael.
You're welcome.
You guys are all great. God bless you and good day.